How's it going, everyone? And welcome to another episode of No Excuses on VTWProductions.com and YouTube.com with your favorite show hosts, Still.
Fenurian.
And Volatel, and we're here to bring you the latest news and commentary on the video games industry for the week as it was. But first of all, if you'd like to get involved with the show, you can do so by sending us email at noexcusesvtw@gmail.com, or you can follow us on the Twitter at noexcusesvtw, or you can join us in our Discord chat server. I don't really know how.
Bottom of the YouTube videos, or one of the, well, actually, I believe it should be the top post on VTWProductions.com at the moment.
Oh, it is, for once. Normally it's buried under people's Let's Plays.
Yes, it is. But I think it should be at the top at the moment. So go do. Alright, so on the stream today, I shall be playing a bit of Space Engineers, which allegedly came out of early access. Yeah, they've changed some things around, but honestly, it doesn't make a whole lot of difference. Because this game is carried by its mods anyway. So those who haven't played it, you basically get dumped onto an alien planet, if you pick that start anyway, and you build a spaceship and presumably go and crash it into things. I don't know, it seems to spend all your time building a spaceship, and every time I manage to get one off the ground, I crash it and it explodes. So I guess that's how the game's supposed to go.
You seem to be talking about Kerbal Space Program.
There is also a lot of similarities. There is no leaving little green men floating in the depths of space, though.
I always thought Kerbal Space Program was a game about killing the Kerbal.
They don't actually die, though. Well, usually.
Well, not for lack of your trying.
Not for lack of trying, no. They tend to explode.
I got one rocket ship out of the atmosphere once.
I've managed to get rocket ships out beyond the furthest route, the furthest orbit before, accidentally. I've also managed to set a single Kerbal unassisted into a stable orbit around the sun. So, you know, Kerbal Space Program. I guess I'll drop on Earth.
Kerbal Space Program is a wonderful little game for $15.
Yeah, it's how hard could rocket science be anyway? Is their byline. Turns out very hard.
I love that game.
I'm terrible at that game, and yet I still love it.
Yeah, I've never successfully finished any objectives in that game, but it's still a really fun game.
It reminds me of conceptually. It reminds me for some reason of an old Flash game called Hedgehog Launch.
Oh yeah.
Do either of you ever play that?
It rings a bell. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically you play as some country who has a very, very small budget allocated towards your space program, and your job is to put the first hedgehog in space, so basically that involves building a really, really big slingshot.
Science.
Oh, good old Kenyan space programs.
Yep. The ecology of the Space Engineers planets makes no sense because I guess they couldn't figure out how to do water. So you have very temperate planets, but all the lakes are frozen.
See,
hey, you're just there in winter.
No, it's hard water.
Yeah, it is hard water. Like, it's frozen all the way through.
You don't eat your water?
No, I don't. Although if I do get water directly from the tap, I do have to chew it a little bit.
Ugh.
Yes.
What does your water come out of the unk?
It comes out of something. I wouldn't drink Ankh water. At all. Well, actually, I'd be more worried about being drunk by it. Ugh.
Oh, right, you're Australian. I forgot.
I live in the middle of nowhere. We have rather lax everything.
Pretty sure that you get water out of Network Junction box.
Yeah, we get the spiders to bring it. It's all fine.
Yeah, it's just snake venom. They just drip it into the water supply.
Anyway,
That's how you'll survive down there. Only way.
Yeah, so stupidity aside, now for some more stupidity. Yeah, my tablet finally seems to have died its final death this week. The charge, it just does not accept a charge at the moment. I can kind of convince it to take a little bit of charge if I kind of sit there and twiddle with the plug for half an hour. But at this point, it's dead.
That doesn't sound like an efficient investment of time.
Indeed not.
No.
So I'll probably do that once more just to salvage everything off it, and that'll probably be it.
Make sure that your Geo account is bound.
Yes.
What
So, no Nobu
what
for me.
tablet do you have?
A Tab Galaxy S.
Okay.
So it's a 6-year-old tablet.
It's a good run for a tablet.
Yeah, not a bad run at all. So
Yeah.
this led to shopping around for new tablets, which, yeah, is never a cheap prospect. I
No.
could sign up for a new plan with Telstra and give them all my money again. But then my mother pointed me on to, hey, why don't you look at this website and get a tablet through them because they're very cheap.
Because they're Chinese knockoffs.
Bingo! So thus began my adventures
What, you
in...
end up going to AliExpress or something?
Yeah, Wish.com. Adventures in
that's pretty much the
Bootleg
same
Land.
Yeah.
These websites, just wow.
Just are they the type of websites where you're positive if you didn't have ad blocker turned on, you'd have a virus?
Absolutely. But aside from that, the products they sell are different. Like, I would actually put it up on the screen, but for some reason today it's offering me, let's just call them male supplements today. So,
Sometimes you just got a judgment nut, Fern.
why?
It's never not going to be funny to me.
So I'm looking at through here. Things like they're offering what is something between a corset and granny's underpants for men. Something between a corset and a singlet and Strong Bad's ABBA. Because apparently this is a thing. Mind you, all these products, they all have before and after photos, and wouldn't you know it, they actually managed to turn you into completely different people.
That's some powerful technology right there.
It's science! Let me
Yeah.
see. Going down the list, there's some useful things like USB charge hubs and things like that. And then we come down and, oh, look at that. There's Soldier Boy's PSP knockoff. I'm not showing you because it's surrounded by dongs, so no. There is not enough ad blocker in the world for this. I'm suffering so you don't have to.
We need to make an
Soldier
ad
Boy.
blocker just dedicated to removing dongs from web pages.
Just remove all of the dongs, please. Like, oh my god. Some of the things here. There's a plunger for pulling dents out of a car, which I can guarantee will not work.
We had one as seen on TV plunger for undenting cars that actually worked pretty well, but it was a little more than a plunger. It had like a metal brace on it that you would clip to the side of the car with suction cups. And you would push the plunger down, and you would tighten it with a screw, and then you would push a release, and it would release the screw and pop the plunger back.
Yep.
And that worked pretty good. So that type of product can work.
Like, it can work, but yeah. Here's one I've got to actually show. Let me see if I can actually get it up without doing horrible, unspeakable things on the stream. Let's see. Yes, here we are.
Open image in new tab.
Look at this. It is a commemorative 2020 Trump election coin.
What?
Commemorative, huh?
Commemorative. For
So
a
you can
year that
remember
hasn't
all that-
happened yet.
Yeah, commemorative. It's like so you can remember all the cool stuff that you did in 2020.
Yeah. For an election that hasn't happened yet.
Might want to check the calendar, guys. We've been
So,
surprised by our age more than a few times on this show.
And look at that. I can get it all for the price of $2.
It reminds me of that guy in Berseria who was always trying to sell commemorative cups.
What else have we got on here? Just the absolute tat. Like, look at this. This one's one of the actual. Well, it's one of the sillier ones. It's somewhere between some sort of spider cramp, I guess, which has been badly photoshopped onto a model, by the way, which is supposed to, I don't know, squash your belly and ass and things. Why? Why would you do this? And why would you not learn Photoshop if you're going to use these? Why? Look at this. It's not even Photoshop properly. It's kind of hanging out in the void over here. Yeah, there's also other things like a bracelet, magnetic bracelet, which apparently turns you into a different person if you just wear it long enough.
I'm a fan of this.
But the person it turns you into is a colossal douchebag by the look of it. Do you want to be a colossal douchebag?
It's okay. Are there multiple versions? Can I pick?
Pick your level of douche. Or just take it off at the right time once you achieve a certain level of douchiness. Oh boy.
I had a Boy Zariki joke ready, but I totally lost it.
What else is on these sites? Various types of knife. I have no idea what that thing is. I have no idea what
do they have magical powers?
No.
Or at least semi-magical things are attributed to them?
Are they given to us by a rather strange purple grail monster? Just
Hero Maker kit.
I think you're talking about such products as the Friend Maker.
The Friend Maker, exactly, and the Hero Maker. Does anybody actually buy this garbage?
Somebody has to.
Somebody has to.
The website wouldn't exist if people didn't. And your mother is walking proof because she recommended it to you.
Yeah, so she clearly thinks the things there are a good idea.
She has purchased from Innovations before, and that's kind of like a magazine version of this.
I've seen those. We have things like that in New Zealand. They bring them door to door, and then you make the order, and then you leave the catalogue at the door, and they pick it up later. I don't know. I doubt it still works that way. That's the way it used to work.
Yeah, it's the way it used to work. Now you can go to the website and just order it all online there too.
It can be stupid in a much more efficient fashion.
Those are what is this? It appears to be a shoe that holds your pen. Hang on.
You don't stash a special shoe pen just because sometimes you can't find a pen. But if you've got one in your shoe,
they're brogues. They are fancy shoes with a very fancy shoehorn that kind of looks like a pen from the wrong angle. How is that person wearing those without socks? I mean, ow! These are a hard leather shoe. Why?
Maybe they're meant so you can deploy the pen as a foot-based melee weapon.
Maybe? This is Get Smart territory now, is it?
Is a shoe pin like is a shoehorn like a hunting horn, except for shoes?
Sadly, no. No buffs.
You don't get buffs. Why even bother?
I'm going to close this website. Hey, look, Horde and Alliance banners. They're probably small and tatty. I'm going to close this website because it's actually starting to make my eyes hurt. So yeah, fun, bootleggy fun. In terms of games, I've played another game that makes my eyes hurt called Hypnospace Outlaw, which has only just come out.
Nothing about that sounds like a good idea.
It's a very strange game. So, who remembers GeoCities?
That web hosting service?
Yeah.
I think early high school, I made a website for a web design class on GeoCities.
Everyone did.
With tripod.
Yeah. So the wild, wild west days of the internet, the mid to late 90s.
The good old days.
Yeah, full of everybody has their own website covered in bad resolution GIFs.
Web 1.0.
Yeah.
The days of early E-Bombs World, America Online, AOL Instant Messenger.
Yeah. So Hypnospace Outlaw is basically GeoCities the game. You got to police that. Have fun.
Remember the websites that used to be just like one meme as the background wallpaper repeated over and over again?
The tile tier.
The tile tier with really bad music laid over it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's essentially what you're doing in Hypnospace Outlaw is you've got to police that. So kids making their own websites to themselves, people making extremely strange and niche websites, and yeah, the websites are actually made are very, very strange. I haven't gotten too far into it, so the goal is, search these websites to find infractions of the 5 various laws, which is, copyright infringement, harassment, extra legal activity, that sort of business. And report it, shut it down. I think there's some sort of overriding plot going to be happening later on down the track because it's sold up as a mystery game. Early on finding the infractions for you.
Going to engage in that any day now.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to start to find the infractions early on. Although you can complete the objectives as is, but there's other objectives you can find in it. Like one of your very first ones is a harassment case, where a boy's harassing another boy at school, and it's all coming through on the internet. But the problem is the victim has set up a hate site and a hate group to go with it. So what do you do in that situation? In my case, it was report the lot of them and reap the rewards. Because you get paid. So, from what I can tell, the loner kid, the victim, has ended up on some sort of watch list because of it. Whereas the bully got off with a warning because, yay! So, yeah. As you go on, the infractions become harder to find because the area you need to search gets bigger. And the sites that have the problem content on them aren't easy to find. They're not necessarily in the first search you can do. You might need to just search around physically and wait until you find a clue to find where it is.
A clue?
A clue. A raging clue. South Park reference. Very, very filthy South Park reference. Don't go there. So yeah, it's fun, but going through all of these 90s era websites will give you a headache very quickly. Like everything is covered in bad GIFs and terrible music and low resolution pics.
Neon lights.
Technicolor
backgrounds.
Bad
animated
HTML.
Fonts.
You name it, it's in there. And it will make your eyes bleed. If not in nostalgia, then just pain. So yeah, I'm wondering where the story's going to go. But
most of the people playing this game probably haven't seen those websites for reals ever.
Get off our lawns.
Get off our lawns.
And you can't have them. My lawn.
Yes, this was what our high school looked like. This is what the internet looked like when we were kids. Oh, how far things have come.
Come is a word for it, yes. Fallen is a better one.
Well, websites, as a rule, don't make your eyes bleed anymore.
Instead, they just steal your identity.
Yes.
Yeah,
and your money.
They just literally ruin your life.
Yes. Social media. So yeah, that's essentially what Hypnospace is a social media network made up of GeoCities websites.
When we make the joke before the dark times, quoting Star Wars, we literally mean before the dark times. Stuff used to be in bright colors all over the place.
Yeah, I think I prefer the dark times. Just I can't play this game for long periods, partly because it gets a bit frustrating because you don't know what you're supposed to do half the time. Because I'm at the point in the game where they just say, okay, there's a whole lot of stuff that needs to clean up. Just go out there and do it, and we'll give you objectives once you clean up a little bit.
Well, you're a government bureaucrat.
Private company bureaucrat. Except it's also, you're a volunteer, so you're not actually getting paid for this, by the way. Not as such.
Didn't you just say you got paid, though?
Well, you earn the in-game funny money, or the in-network funny money, which you can use to buy things to customize your desktop and buy virtual pets. Who remembers those things? You know, virtual pets sit on your...
Microsoft dogs and Microsoft cats and Microsoft oddballs.
Oh, no, not those ones. Well, yeah, those ones, but things like Bonzi Buddy. You know, it's a cute pet that sits on your desktop, and while you're not looking, it loads your computer up with adware.
So you're actually a worker in China for their new social media credit program.
I guess. So, yeah, you use all this in-game money. You can use it to customize your desktop and buy soundtracks and things like that. Not that you really want to. Who want to listen to their weird squeaky pizza song all day? But you can also use it to just go and buy things and the stuff online to check it. See if it's got malware or something in it, and if it does, you report it, and you can progress that way as well. So it's a very, very, very strange game.
You know, I think we need to send all the kids back in time to live through this era of the internet.
Yes.
Just so they have some perspective, and so they can learn some common sense.
Remember when everybody was told that you shouldn't put your personal information online?
Yeah. That used to be internet rule number 1.
Yeah, you put in a fake name, you put in a fake birthday, you put in, a fake address. You don't give your phone number to anybody.
Yep.
Like, even your best buddies in AIM, you didn't give them your personal information.
Yep. Then along comes Facebook. Then it all goes out the window. Actually, it was MySpace at that point.
Yeah, we seen what happened. Y'all were warned.
We told you, bro.
We don't have a Facebook. None of us use Facebook.
We actually...
The show has a Facebook.
It's blank, and it's going to remain that way.
It's my default login for Facebook so that I can read things that people link me to.
Yep. Takes 3 of us to not even manage a Twitter.
Yeah.
I read it a lot. I almost never post anything because, honestly, I don't do anything interesting enough.
How narcissistic are you, normies? Seriously.
Oh, narcissism is the name of the game these days.
You don't got to share it with the world. Go make some friends. Talk to them about your life. They actually care.
No, they don't.
No, internet friends don't. The definition of friend has changed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's also Facebook and MySpace's fault.
Yeah, if they're not friends on MySpace or FacePalm or whatever.
Friend is somebody you communicate with at least voice to voice at least once every 2 weeks.
A friend is somebody I actually have the phone number for.
Yeah. We're old.
This is probably being our most elderly rant yet.
Yeah. I'm not helped. But it is just so jarring to see all these young normies doing dumb crap on the internet.
And then you look at a game like Hypnospace, and here's a website talking about butter. Or just, somebody's love of butter.
Like, it's an enthusiast website.
Yeah, well, there's 2. There's an enthusiast website about butter, but there's also hot butter flavored ice cream because, ads are still there.
Is that what they're calling it now?
That sounds like a very strange ice cream flavor. It's hard to really explain this game, honestly. It's, search the internet, find the clues, find the infractions, and report them to progress the story. But it's something
It's a really weird version of Papers, Please.
It is. It's in that same kind of genre,
Police state simulation.
I guess. There's things like violent content and things like that. They obviously can't put that into their game. So the violent content, the inappropriate content is more extremely strange rather than, outright violent or offensive. Like the first one you get is a troll who's going around to people's sites and just putting a shock picture on it, which is essentially a human heart with googly eyes.
Well, they can't put goatsy on it.
No, why? Why?
Can we leave that one in?
Can we
the
not?
Dark Times?
Yeah, that was what made the Dark Times dark.
Yeah. Just no. All of the nope. Yeah, thankfully, I haven't run into any shock sites like that in the game, but there's bound to be a couple. I'm just waiting to see what depths of weirdness they sink to simulate that level of nope. Anywho, that's been my week. Played a bit more Monster Hunter, I suppose. Managed to put together my tanking set, which is primarily about hitting things and regenerating health. That's about it. You just hit things.
We fought Palumu. I fought Palumu with y'all.
we abused Palumus this morning.
Only one of them coughed up any nourishing X.
I got a few. It's kind of annoying. It's an ingredient for one of the most important late game potions you get, but you can't just really farm it. You got to go and hunt Palumu or Dodogama or Odogo. I think it was Odogo.
Yeah, sounds like it. Yeah.
So yeah, the grind kind of sucks on that front, but that's Monster Hunter. All right.
I heard recently that when you craft in the field, there used to be failure chance.
In the previous games, you could have failure chance even in your box.
Yeesh.
So you get rubbish, and all it would do is just take up an inventory slot.
Man, I'm glad that's gone.
Yeah, that was not fun. You'd be able to get books, combination books, you could buy and just leave them in your box. And that would increase your success chance, as well as meld gems, I believe they're called, which would increase your crafting chance as well. So you could, in fact, make a crafting set. That is not a mechanic I miss at all. Not even a little bit. All right, so yeah, that's my week. So Volsa, your turn.
Well, it's been a bit of a rough week in Christchurch.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm pretty sure the entire world knows.
Oh, yes, and the entire world is being very vocal about it.
The city's more or less been paralysed since Friday. Lots of stuff is shut down, lots of roads are blocked off, and so on and so forth. So, yeah. I suppose that everybody's still reeling because it's not a very New Zealand thing to happen.
No.
Generally speaking. But,
No.
Yeah. So, I had to have noodles for dinner because there was nowhere to get food.
Oh, well, the context of that problem.
Yeah.
When he messaged me about it, I had just woken up. It's like, somebody shot up someplace here, and I wasn't really even awake yet. I'm like, oh, that happens all the time in Atlanta. I'm like, what's the big deal, man? And then the news was so big it was breaking onto like Rakita Law's live stream about Vic Mignogna. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah. When places get shot up in the rest of the world, it's a big deal.
Yeah. Well, no, it was just the size of it. How many were there? I'm like, oh, this is a big deal. But
49 fatalities.
That's
20 people still in hospital. And a
sad.
bunch of people missing.
Yeah.
So it's pretty grim.
Very
it's pretty grim, but considering attention is what the team of killers, 3 men and 1 woman, actually wanted, the best thing for everybody is just to to move on and treat them as the trivium that they are.
But that's not happening.
Preferably throw them in a ditch to be eaten by pigs so that the world can forget about them. But yeah, we don't get what we want most of the time.
Well, yeah, because it'll be sheep in New Zealand.
Well, yes, but
we have a lot of wild pigs in this country.
Feral pigs.
A lot. They kill dogs.
They do. Feral pigs they just give zero cares.
Yeah, the older they get, the bigger, more cunning and vicious they get.
Yeah.
Like, an old boar in the forest is unbelievably dangerous. And the ones in New Zealand don't even have to compete with crocodiles.
The ones around here are just scared little baby-sized boars, even when they're adults. They just squeal and run away.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me of a survival show on TV the other day. A couple of Americans dumped in the Australian outback, and they're finding half-chewed freshwater crocodiles. And to that we just say, Australia.
Yeah, like a pig will grow to be the size of a small cow if you leave.
Yeah.
Bush. They're dangerous, man. They are serious business pigs. But yeah. So, in other news, what have I done this week? Not very much. Especially considering how late I've been getting home because of work. Although I haven't had that much work to do this week, it's been a case of every day that I have that is quiet, I assume that it means that the next day is going to be awful, and then the next day is quiet, so I assume that the next day, the day after that's going to be double awful. But the other shoe never dropped this week, so I kept bracing myself for something that didn't happen, which is surprisingly tiring. But yeah, video games. I finished Four Goddesses Online, which isn't actually, you don't actually have to play it online, last week. And so having completed that, I moved on to Blind and Neptune versus Zombies, which is another Neptunia game, which appears to be about the goddesses attempting to film the worst zombie movie ever made.
Still totally the best zombie movie.
It's basically it's an unbelievably contrived story, like most of them.
It's called Neptunia.
In this case, basically the goddesses and the CPU candidates are on a project to try and make sure that they don't get out of touch with the lives of the common people. So they've all enrolled high school and are basically doing the high school life thing. But because it's a game made in Japan, the eternal problem hovering over Japan is declining birth rate. So this translates over into Neptunia as, oh well, so the school that they have joined is going to shut down.
Of course it is.
So as the traditional anime story for this scenario goes, the students, in this case the CPUs and CPU candidates, decide that they need to save the school, and in this case Neptune decides that since she's a member of the film club, she's going to make a film, and she doesn't do any planning whatsoever. She just starts filming, and
well, that's the way you're supposed to do it, isn't it?
Yeah, Blan catches wind of it and ends up saying that, well, she's willing to help, but only if she gets to be the director and screenplay writer, because she's an aspiring writer, and not a good one either. She's never had any kind of success in getting any newbie publication through. So they embark on that, but at some point it turns out, well, basically they start off with the idea to make a zombie movie, but then zombies actually invade the school
because
for reasons that are completely unexplained as of yet.
I can explain it. It's a Neptunia game.
Blan makes up a story as she goes along, and they basically film themselves fighting the actual zombies as their action scenes, and so the game is basically sort of a very compacted down version of a Dynasty Warriors style brawler, which is it's divided up into cuts, and there are additional scenes depending on which characters you choose for the for a given stage. So if you replay it repeatedly with different combinations, sometimes you get different lines of dialogue in the scene beforehand. Different characters will play different roles. But so far, it seems like every character is having a go at every different role. The story which Blind is putting together is completely ridiculous and nonsensical. Like, it really doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But I mean, in Neptunia, that's half the fun. So, yeah, it's like most Neptunia games. It's a diversion rather than a great game. But you know, I can't resist games. I have to play. Like,
they're bright, they're colourful, they're silly.
They're a lot less depressing than real life. So
usually.
So there you go. Usually. Yeah, I don't think there's really been any seriously grimdark Neptunia games. Though there is a very grimdark route in the second of the main series, where you can take a turn for the worse, basically, and have Nepgear choose to use a cursed sword as the only way that she can stop the big bad, and this basically involves her systematically murdering all her friends and sisters in order to power it up.
Yeah, that's pretty grim.
It's sort of talked of in hushed tones as the only time that Neptunia ever went grimdark, and it went all the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've been playing a bit of that. I haven't made much progress yet because oftentimes I'm left scratching my head wondering what's going on. The FGO is currently in the rerun of Guda Guda Honoji, which is based on a storyline wherein Nobunaga finds a grail and decides that it needs to be used as a bomb, and while attempting to modify it into a bomb, she falls in, and it results in the grail summoning a bunch of servants with damaged spirit cores, so they aren't very powerful, and they've got damaged memories, and they all think that they're members of, well, some of them, they all have a damaged memory, so that to varying extents they think that they are themselves or think that they are some character from Japanese history, and it's all very confusing. And Japan, in that particular minor singularity, has become populated by Mininobu, who have also been vomited out of the Grail in conjunction with the damaged servants.
Okay,
so basically,
that's a bit of change, I suppose. Like, every time you have other servants taking part and pretending to be other historical characters, usually they're fully aware of what they're doing. They're just going along with it.
Some of them are fully aware. Some of them are not. It's very unclear to what extent they are cooperating voluntarily, cooperating involuntarily, or are actually think that they are those characters. And in the case of the Berserkers, you obviously can't tell. But
who knows?
When you go up against Emiya, Ku, and Medea, they are very unhappy with the roles that they have been assigned, but still seem to be cooperating with it.
Isn't that the way that usually goes, especially with Emiya?
Yeah. Generally, yeah. But at any rate, the storyline is very short and perfunctory. It's not like a full-blown, full-length storyline like you see in more recent events. Pretty token. And it's mostly a grindfest event. But the main objective, of course, is to get the welfare servant Nobunaga, who I was very upset to miss out on last time because
I can't get it.
It had just finished when I started playing. But I've got 2 copies of it so far. It's going to take a while to get the other thing. The event is quite grindy. It's just a points accumulation for rewards them this time. Yeah. The next one will be a two-sided points accumulation one where you join one side or the other and compete with them to generate more points. But I don't know how it will work in the end. But so it's not the most fun event, but it does give a fun servant that I've wanted for a while. I don't need most of the time because in 90% of situations, Emi is better for the same job, but it's still good to have Nobu in your back pocket for when you need to go up against sabers who have the riding skill, which is a lot of, and also the divine.
I'm salty because I still don't have a good archer, and Nobu would have been perfect for that, and I can't get it now because my tablet's died.
Just put it on your phone. Transfer it to your phone.
Oh yeah, I should do that. These things you just don't think about doing.
You can always bind it and transfer it again later.
Yeah.
But yeah. The Nobu's particularly good against sabers, which are also divine riders. Like she will do more damage than a single target servant with her Noble Phantasm in that situation. So yeah, does have her uses, even if she's not necessarily the best. And of course, will also be Noble Phantasm level.
And also,
she's also incredibly hammy. Yes.
Yes.
Her voice actress is the what's her name again? She always plays the same character. Like she played Nagi-san Zenin, she played Louise Valliere, she played a lot of those short, squeaky, angry tsundere characters. I can't remember her name offhand. But yeah, Nobunaga is loud and hammy and also female because this is Fate.
This is Fate Universe, yes.
I did roll a few times to try and get Okita, but my failure to get Amakusa was garnished with yet more failure, which seems to be the story of my life. Voice actor Kugimi Arie.
There we go.
Oh, the Tsundere Queen, yeah.
Yeah.
So I did say she always plays the same character.
Yeah.
But so there's that. What else have I done this week? Not much of anything really. More Blu-rays have arrived, so I have more stuff. My copy of the first Hidden Steel movie has arrived.
That's the best way to support anime these days.
Yeah, unfortunately. My copy of the first half of Fate Apocrypha has arrived, which I'm looking forward to, because while Fate Apocrypha is not a great series by any stretch of the imagination, it does have some cool fight scenes, but the contrast adjustments on the television airing of Fate Apocrypha ruined a lot of them, like, really badly.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to getting to see them again, only with the contrast set correctly, as opposed to desperately attempting to prevent epileptic fits. What else? I had, there was 15 seconds where I was really tempted to go back to World of Warcraft.
I hope you got better.
Yeah, I got better. 15 seconds though, man, it was dangerous.
That's a very dangerous 15 seconds.
That is dangerous.
It was then followed, a few days later by about 15 seconds where I was tempted to play Destiny 2 again.
Why?
At least that wouldn't have cost me any money. It's because everybody's talking about the new updates and stuff and how the game is actually great now, which I don't believe.
I don't believe either.
No.
You just had a sudden craving for generic grey pasty games.
Well, it's a game where you have continuous accrual of stuff and you can shoot.
Fair enough.
It's basically Borderlands online with none of the style.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
none of the wit.
Because Monster Hunter exists, I've more or less been saved from all those impulses.
Another reason to love that game.
Yeah. Although I don't particularly love the fact that I still have never gotten a Greatsword Streamstone. I'm wondering if there's some drop table wherein I've got to kill a particular Elder Dragon to get them or something that I just don't know about. It's really starting to frustrate me. I know that ideally you're supposed to be able to use lots of different weapons, but some of us are not good enough at this game to learn more than a couple. So I need a Greatsword Streamstone.
I'm starting to think this game will just take a look at whatever weapon you're using and refuse to drop that Streamstone. That's the one it will guarantee you will not get.
Oh, well. There's an annoying person on my FGO friends list who said that they spent 170 quart and got 4 copies of Okita.
Boo.
I'm deeply annoyed.
I threw one 10-pull at it and got a good poster girl, so I was happy with that.
Yeah, it's a good one, but it's not really a good one for any of the strategies I like. Boy, it is a very useful sort of corner case though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've just got garbage. It's depressing. The Gacha is depressing. The Gacha wants me to spend money on it. I was tempted to do that as well, but I didn't.
Yeah, don't do that. That's always a trap.
There are certain occasions where I'm willing to spend money on the game, and they are the GSSR and servants that are actually meta breakers. That I will invest a little bit to see if it is to be or not. Which is what I did with Merlin. I invested a little bit of money in Merlin because the meta distorts itself around. I'll probably do the same for Skadi as well.
I need Skadi.
I don't need Skadi, but not having one, like, for instance, the current event, the Honoji event, it would be a lot harder for me if I hadn't gotten Merlin. Not because I'm using Merlin to power my way through difficult content, because I'm not. But what it means is that I actually have a support that is relevant, and that means that I don't need to take a support from the friends list. So I can take one that will actually benefit my grinding, which is way more important. Okita, the fact is that in this event, Okita's bonuses are so far head and shoulders above every other servant in the game that you pretty much, if you don't have one, you need to take a friends list one, or you're not going to progress.
Yeah.
So,
I thankfully have one guy who has the MLB CE with Okita at level 100 chilling on my friends list.
Oh,
I've got about 2 or 3 10 level 90 Okitas with the MLB CE on my friends list, and they all seem to, at least one of them seems to have signed in recently every time. So I've been having a reasonable good run of that time around, which is good. But yeah, what else have I done? Right, I unsubscribed from Crunchyroll because their service just sharply degraded over the past few weeks. Like, and I'm not talking in little ways either. I'm talking the stream was just completely unstable. It kept downgrading in quality, and so on and so forth. But there must have been a big furore over it, because a couple of days after I unsubscribed, they released a patch for the PS4 app, which is the way I normally use it. And so I decided to try again last night to see if if the patch had done anything. And basically, it's filed off most of the problems. Like, it's an actually functional app now, as opposed to the disaster piece that it was. It's still not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it's actually a usable service now. So, come the end of my billing period, I'll think again about whether I want to subscribe to it. Because it is true, they did sin and waste money on High Guardian Spice, but they also spent money on making sure Shield Hero got produced. So
yes.
Really shot them in the foot, really. Like, I mean, they're on the production committee for Shield Hero. It basically goes against everything that they stand for as people.
By being actually good for a start.
While they're on the production committee, they have no say creatively. They've got zero creative control. So the reality on the ground for them is that this is an incredibly popular series. It's bringing people to their site. They hate the content, but the writers just laugh at them every time they object.
Yep.
And say, but look at all the money we're making. What is wrong with you?
And all they had to do was tell a good story.
Yep. It's not even a particularly remarkable story. It's just
not.
You know, it's not High Guardian Spice. I think that's the best that we can hope for these days. I don't even know if that project's still running. They've pretty much gone dark on it. Probably because people bite their heads off every time they mention it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's hard to have any real respect for them as an organization, given the way they operate. But I will consider resubbing at the end of the month. You know, if it turns out that I even need to, because the systems are it's sort of equal parts people who either can't unsubscribe because the system is broken, or they successfully unsubscribe, but Crunchyroll doesn't actually unsubscribe them and keeps supplying them. Or they can't subscribe because even though they're not subscribed, Crunchyroll thinks they are, and therefore they can't subscribe at all and use the service, period. So yeah, I don't understand how they can be so incompetent with their website.
Let's see, can I still watch Crunchyroll on Premium despite having been unsubbed for many months now?
Probably.
Yep, sure can.
Where do they find these people? My goodness.
Just why?
The
The whole player just needs to be burned to the ground and redone, I think, at this point.
Yeah, the thing is that most of the pirate sites have more usable sites than they do.
They do,
like, really?
and more content.
Can't you get a web design person in? I mean, a pirate site is always going to have more content. There's no way around.
Yeah, that's always going to happen. But
you could at least like design your site not to be a pile of freaking garbage. I think that's not too much to ask, is it?
No, I don't think it is.
But yeah. Was there anything else of note this week? I don't know. Well, pretty much by Friday, everything that I thought about before Friday had pretty much been obliterated by the furore. So I don't remember much about what went on this week. Yeah, so I'll just leave it there.
Okay.
All right. My hiccups have returned, and I need to stand upside down for about 3 minutes to make them go away. So I think we should go to a break.
All right, we probably should do that then.
All right, here's some music, folks. I'm going to go stand on my head for a few minutes. And we're back. You're not supposed to see little sparklies at the edge of your vision, are you?
No, that's generally a bad thing.
Ugh. So, we were at the Involves week.
The only thing left is that I'm still unbelievably salty that I was unable to get the collector's edition for Fate Extella Link, which is coming this coming week.
Oh, they finally put out the release date for that, didn't they?
Yeah, but there's no way you can get it in this country.
It's coming to Steam.
I have to get it.
But not the collector's edition.
I have to get it on. You have to get it on Steam. It's not. I'm more than willing to throw my money at it. I really am, but they don't want my money. Why do people not want my money all the time?
No, they just don't. They don't want your money. It's dirty money.
Apparently, it is dirty money. Yeah.
It's dirty New Zealander money.
Boy. Anyway, Ari, your week, sir, or your Dante, I should say.
Yeah, my week was pretty much one thing aside from work. The cycle this week was wake up, go to work, play Devil May Cry, eat dinner, play more Devil May Cry, go to bed, wake up, go to work, play more Devil May Cry, repeat as needed.
As needed, yes.
Yes. had to get my fix. So while everybody else in the world has been up in arms about one thing or another this week, I've been happy off here in Devil May Cry land.
Ensuring that no devil is left upright.
Yep.
Gotta pull that double trigger, yo.
Just bang, bang, banging all day long.
Wow.
I walked into work, I think it was Friday morning when everything went down, and I was muttering to myself, bang, 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 pull my devil trigger, and somebody thought I was referencing the recent shenanigans.
Of course they did.
I'm just going to keep going with the disparaging name I picked for this dude, the Spyro the Dragon shooter, because he doesn't deserve anything better than a joke.
Please don't. That's actually really bad for Spyro the Dragon.
Well, anyway. I need something for him. But yeah, so that got some funny looks when the person pointed out, like, no, it's a video game song. It's just stuck in my head. Because I've literally...
Everybody's busy leaping to conclusions right now about everything. Like, one of my friends was accused of being a mass shooter after the event because he was an airsoft enthusiast. And he got a helmet mount for his GoPro so that when he played airsoft, he could record the games from first-person perspective, which is what the shooter did.
The loony did, yeah.
And so there were all these threads online talking about how it was actually him that did it.
You what?
Well, because if you type in Christchurch shooting, you now get his airsoft games on YouTube. And everybody was on YouTube looking for the footage of the shooting, and they would get him, and they say, "Oh, well, look, this guy's doing the same thing. It must be him who did it because he's in Christchurch. There's only one person in Christchurch with a helmet cam, right?"
Totally. You people are bleeding idiots.
I think the expletive I sent you in response to that is quite appropriate for those people.
Everybody wants to be the first to fly off the handle. It's really the really cringy thing about it. It's not as if people are just naturally flying off the handle. They're competing to fly further off the handle than everybody else.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, in Devil May Cry Land, things have been wonderful.
Yeah, everything is wonderful in Devil May Cry Land.
Just
how it should be.
Just going, doing Mission 13 on Dante Must Die mode, doing it a few times with whatever randos I get paired up with, and seeing I'm playing like Nero, surfing on my rocket arm around the hole, waiting for it to open up, and the Dante's setting up a combo with the Cerberus so that when he does the forward flip, he flips right into the hole, and I follow him right down with the rocket, and it's good times. This game makes me smile so much. The more I play it, the more I smile. It has been nothing but happy times.
More than you can say for DMC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So So a bit of stuff came out. Ruben did Dante's VA/mocap dude / dude that has Royal Guard in real life and can stop bullets.
Yes.
He went on a interview with some small time YouTube show and had a bunch of the people that are on the I Stand with Fix side on it in it, and they weren't very interesting, but Ruben was, and Ruben gave us a lot of insights he probably shouldn't have into the development of this game during that interview. The most prevalent being that Itsuno threatened to quit Capcom over Dino May Cry.
Can you blame him?
With a resignation notice and said, "I'm going to quit over this." And Dino May Cry is the fault of Keiji Inafune and his push for the West, as it was. And the more I learn about Keiji Inafune, the more I become suspect of his claim that he made Mega Man, because the dude has not had a good idea since.
Oh no, it's a well-known fact that he didn't make Mega Man. He arranged financing for Mega Man.
Yeah.
He's well known amongst Mega Man fans to be completely business-centric and has absolutely no clue about video games. Period.
He's just the money guy.
Yeah. So this guy, it was Keiji Inafune's idea to do this big push for the West, where we got the horrible localization of like Demon Kings for Sengoku Basara 1 and Dino May Cry, and all this was his wonderful plan.
Wonderful and gigantic air quotes.
Yeah. So Itsuno walked up to the office and is like, "All right, I'm out. Peace." Has his resignation letter in hand, and they're like, "Wait. What do you want to stay with the company?" He's like, "And according to Ruben, he basically said, "You're going to let me do Devil May Cry 5, you're going to let me finish it this time, and you're going to let me do it however the heck I want to." And they said yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is quite a bit of information we didn't know before that I'm kind of happy we found out, even though I'm fairly certain Ruben was not allowed to disclose any of that.
I mean, at least these days it seems like Capcom's pretty much riding high after the complete debacle that is the fighting games scene.
Yeah,
and they've got some pretty solid franchise entries at the moment. Like the RE2 remake has been going gangbusters. Devil May Cry 5, everybody loves it. There's pretty much nobody who has any major objection to it.
Aside from the usual suspects.
As I said, nobody excepting games critics.
Yeah, nobody important.
They've got the Phoenix Wright release coming out soon, which is going to open a whole new market to those games.
Mm-hmm.
They've got Monster Hunter World still going gangbusters, and the expansion, there'll be apparently more news coming out on that this month.
And even before that, the introduction of the RE engine and RE7 was really good.
There are rumors that some of the stuff drawn on the 15th anniversary greeting cards by one of the Monster Hunter team is actually a tease for something called Monster Hunter Next, which is allegedly going to be most people suspect at any rate. There's no evidence to support it yet, although the time is right for it to appear.
Oh yeah.
For it to be a developed from the ground up entry for the Switch console, which would be a killer app that will get me to buy a Switch and will probably in fact move Switches in general. So.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happened for Nintendo before.
Just please hire a UI guy.
If there's a franchise that is not owned by Nintendo that will move consoles, like there'd be Monster Hunter, easily.
Yeah.
So I mean, Capcom's basically they've come a long way from MVC Infinite.
Yeah, in the lifetime of this show, we've gone from them doing okay to literally saying Capcom as a verb for doing bad on the show to Capcom's back.
Capcom is back.
We've seen them.
Almost. I'm still convinced there's a line of Dragonators in the office separating it. Like,
it's incredibly clear that there are teams at that place are segregated now.
Yeah.
And that they do not have much crossover within Capcom.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when it comes to say MVCI, if you look at the sort of behavior that creates MVCI, it's basically the same sort of behavior that creates, the new distortions in the MCU, that creates new Star Wars and the complete destruction of that fandom. Like, I wonder how much of that was just Disney interference was purely responsible for, and the sort of the shock waves that left on their team affecting their mainline Street Fighter.
Yeah, I think MVCI was a case where Disney got in, said you can't have the X-Men and you can't have Marvel vs. Capcom without the X-Men. It doesn't happen.
It doesn't work.
The most popular characters are the X-Men and the Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
which they didn't have.
The primary character that I associate with the MVC franchise is Wolverine.
Yes.
That's the one that I think of.
He's generally the poster child for it.
Well, it's Magneto, Storm, Sentinel is the team. It is the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 team. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is Virgil and Doctor Doom.
Mm-hmm. Just Virgil.
Yeah, just Virgil, but you can stick him on anything. But same thing with Doctor Doom. Like, every team has a Doctor Doom. Like, these two games, the last two games were defined by characters they didn't have access to and couldn't put in this game. And by all accounts, the game's pretty fun to play, but the team just seemed to not care since they couldn't get the X-Men, because, yeah, it's sad.
Well, I guess that at some point, if you're an old hand at working on games in that franchise, you're going to realize that you're not working on a quote real unquote MVC game at that point. Yeah. It's just going to be some weird movie tie-in game, not an actual MVC game.
Yeah. And that's what we got, and that was not good. And
also
then we have
Easter eggs.
Never forget.
Never forget the Easter eggs.
Hold Capcom to account. Supposedly the van's pretty high quality. I've heard the DMC van is pretty cool. So no, it's not the leftover LED lights from the Easter eggs taped to the outside of it or something.
More to the point, can you smash it through a wall?
I don't think it runs on actual demon blood.
Oh, okay. Like the actual.
Well, we're not sure the actual one in game does either. But we're pretty certain that thing is some kind of devil arm in and of itself, just from the shenanigans it pulls. But yeah, so my adventures in Devil May Cry. I was just starting Son of Sparta mode when we got to the show last week. I beat Human and Devil Hunter. And I was actually wrong. You can jump straight to harder difficulties if you can prove you're good enough.
If.
Also, is it like how they unlock easy mode if you fail hard enough in the old DMC games?
Yeah, except in reverse. So the prologue boss, you're not really supposed to beat. He's way overtuned. You don't have any damage boosts. And you're not supposed to be able to beat him with Nero with no Devil Breaker. And that's how you fight him in the prologue, is Nero doesn't have his Devil Breakers yet, and he goes up against the boss after seeing Dante get laid out by him, and he's like, I'm bagging this one. And it's like, are you okay? Do you have a mental illness, Nero? And sure enough, he gets smacked around and the main story starts. But if you can beat him, you can skip the difficulty you're on. and go straight to a higher one. So you can technically unlock all the difficulties right away. You just gotta show the game you're good enough. Like, okay, you want to play Dante Must Die mode right now? Prove you're good enough. And it's not that absurd to ask you to beat that prologue boss on Son of Sparta to be ready for Dante Must Die mode. That is about where you need to be. You need to be able to accomplish that.
Yeah, didn't you say they actually put a proper alternate ending to that as well?
It's a fake proper alternate ending, or if you beat it, it's like, and the world is saved. And everybody lives happily ever after, and then the credits scroll by at Mach speed.
In typical DMC sarcastic fashion.
Yeah.
Love it.
And then it does automatically unlock the next mission as well in the current difficulty if you do beat it, so you don't have to replay the prologue. But you'll want to see the cutscene. So yeah, I've been memeing it up on the internet since I've now beaten Son of Sparta, Dante Must Die, Heaven or Hell mode as well. So I've beaten 5 of the 6 available difficulties.
The memes are a bit disturbing.
So they had the best idea ever in this game called photo mode.
Best.
And I will post this in Vitchy Games. I'll post it in general in live show chat. Actually,
you have been warned.
Where it's not really a spoiler because he was in the trailers, but we have Virgil and all the silly faces he makes, and just he looks normal in the game when you see him, but just some of the faces he makes when you freeze frame it at just the right time are hilarious. And my favorite one is that one, which was captioned on Reddit as Judgment Nut.
Let's just not go into that in too much depth, shall we?
Unseemly.
Very.
I was laughing way too long at it. Yeah, so
yeah.
It's just been a fun time playing that game. Learning new combos with all the weapons, getting a better feel for everything. I've started to gravitate towards the gauntlets. I kind of put them to the wayside at first with Dante to play with all his other toys.
Finally come to the right decision.
And these things are so much fun to use. That instead of having to charge and release like the old gauntlets, they all have their big power moves. But they have both the punch and kick style. So when you're locked onto a target, if you press away in the basic attack button, you don't even need to be in Swordmaster. You'll switch to the kick style and back to the punch style if you're in kick style. And in punch style, the more you hit stuff with basic attacks, the more flame you build up, and they'll eventually catch fire. And while they're on fire, all those big heavy hit moves that you would normally have to charge like Gilgamesh for several seconds, they just go basically immediately. They have a bit of wind up, but it's nothing ridiculous that you have to like wait for the enemy to walk to you after you've been charging for 10 years. You just build up your flames and then can do the power uppercut and jump yourself up to SS rank from like B.
Nice.
It's so impactful and cool. And it's also the best way to deal with a particular enemy that is the Blitz or the Shadow of this game, where it's called the Fury, and it's this monster that's semi-corporeal. It'll fade into the environment and become invisible, and it'll start teleporting while invisible, and you can't hit it while it's invisible. So the only way to bop is to attack timed as it's attacking you. So you got to get a feel for the timing on this thing. And the best way to parry this thing is to just start shadow boxing with the gauntlets and just be jabbing the air. So when it pops out, you're already punching because you can punch really fast.
It doesn't sound like a particularly bright boss.
No, it's just a common enemy. Well, it's not a common enemy. There's only about 7 of them in the game, but they're very dangerous, and the best way to get them is to parry them while boxing and run up to the thing, punch it while it's down to get the flames going, and then do a super huge uppercut to take off half its health, and then back off and do it again one more time. So yeah, I discovered how awesome this pair of gauntlets and greaves were just from needing to try out different tools to take care of this one particular enemy. But they work really good for it. And on normal enemies, they work really good for punching through the meteor enemies. And they give Dante a good option for dealing big damage when an enemy is stunned or downed. So previously, what I was using was fairly effective, but it's nothing like this when you get the gauntlets on fire and do the big uppercut.
Nice.
Yeah, and I just really like the way they work. Building up the charge instead of having to sit there and charge the move manually and wait for it. You build the charge by doing your basic attacks, and then you just do the uppercut once it's on fire. So yeah, and the kick mode is funny too because it took inspiration from. I swear they took inspiration from Majima's Breaker style in Yakuza 0.
Okay.
You can just breakdance your way through enemies, which looks amazingly hilarious if you put Dr. Faust hat on Dante with the giant scarf and the cowboy hat, breakdancing your way through a bunch of enemies.
Dante. He's so nuts.
Yeah.
I just love how completely over the top these games get.
Yeah, he's so happy all the time. And when Dante's happy, you're happy. What happened to happy action game pro tags?
They all went grim, dark, and edgy.
Dark Souls happened.
Dark Souls happened, yes.
But yeah, it's just, it feels so good to be back. I went over most of the stuff in the game, and I can't really go into much more of the game without getting into super spoiler territory.
Yeah, don't do that.
But yeah, the only other thing I'll mention is there's a rather infamous Shakespearean dialogue exchange in Dino May Cry between the succubus boss and Dino, where they start trading FUs back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Itsuno deliberately. We later found out, also in the Rubin interview, that he put the cowboy hat in specifically as a jab at Tamim and his team at Ninja Theory for saying that some of the older design choices made Dante look too much like a cowboy. And he deliberately put a poignant FU in one of the boss fights, just a singular one, from Nero, who's already the most foul-mouthed character in the series. But aside from Dino. But we don't count Dino May Cry as part of the series. But yeah. So in just one of the boss fights, he just screams an FU at the player's command with a big middle finger to the boss. And the boss totally deserves it. And you're right beside Nero the whole time. And the fans are so on board with this and didn't miss it at all. They have not, this has not gone over their heads. And there are memes everywhere of like the one dude with his hand up, like, no, I don't want that. With Dino saying FU, and then Nero's FU and the screenshot next to it, and then doing the little finger guns, like, yeah.
Well, the thing is that there isn't anybody who played Dino May Cry who likes Dino May Cry. It's as simple as that. If you played it, you didn't like it. The only reasons the critics like it is because, number one, they didn't play it. Number two, people who play video games don't like it, and they hate people who play video games.
Yeah.
Because it reminds them that they failed at their actual ambition, which was to be real journalists.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so just it's been wonderful. I love the dead weight memes too that are floating around with the game. If these are gonna go right over everybody's head even if they're not listed as spoilers. But at the very beginning of the game, before Nero gets his Devil Breaker, and Dante realizes things are going south at the start, he's like, "V, take Nero and get out of here." He's like, "No." Nero's like, "No, I'm going to help you." He's like, "Go, Nero, you're just dead weight." And so everybody has been replacing all of Nero's titles and pop-ups in game as the dead weight.
Yeah.
And Nero doesn't let this go the entire game. He keeps breaking it up, and it's so funny. But yeah, I love this video game. I'm so glad we have a good video game that I can play again. My pet franchise is back. I'm so happy.
Happy? On this show?
No, not allowed.
Not allowed.
Not allowed.
Get out.
But why? Why is it Capcom that's responsible for all our happiness?
I don't know.
Oh, here, I can show you the Type-Moon crossover art for you there, Vol. There you go, in live show chat. Nero X Nero.
Of course there is. Of course there is. Because just, yes.
There you go, Vol. There's your reason to buy the game. So, yeah, I don't really want to say very much more because it's a game you really have to experience and play.
No, go buy the damn game already.
It's Devil May Cry. A lot of what the game has to say, it says through you playing it. And me adding more words to it won't really help you there. You just gotta... You've heard my opinion on it. You've heard the world's opinion on it. Go buy the video game.
It's good. Go do it. Do it now.
I think Nero and Claudius would get along quite well.
Oh, good grief. Can you imagine the narcissism?
The hand-to-hand combat would be kind of extreme, though.
It would be glorious, yes. The world will not be left standing. At all.
So, yeah. I think I'll leave my week there because it really has been all Devil May Cry.
It has. Every time I've turned on my PlayStation, I've just seen you playing Devil May Cry.
Yeah. I'm still 0-2, currently playing Devil May Cry 5.
Still playing DMC. Or Devil May Cry, not DMC.
Yep. I have the console set to go to sleep after 2 hours, by the way. So I legitimately have been online most of the time when you've seen me on playing Devil May Cry.
Oh dear. You know it's a good game when one of your friends just stays on it all day.
For a week.
For a week. Well, it's been closer to 2 weeks now.
No, it's been a week, exactly.
But they release? Oh, okay, yeah.
No, it's been, a week and a day.
Yeah, a week and a day.
But
So
yeah.
Yes.
Still going strong. Bloody Palace comes out on April 1st. I'm so excited for that. If there's multiplayer in there. And there are hints that Virgil will be playable in it. It's in the code for Bloody Palace. So we're really hoping we get Virgil as a playable character. That would be an awesome...
You always get Virgil as a playable character. Always. It always happens.
It took a while for... It took a long while.
Though. It happened, though. It even happened in Dino May Cry, didn't it?
As DLC in a bad extra campaign.
Well, yeah, but everything about that game was bad, so...
Yeah, you got to take your bad with your bad, yeah.
It's just... Yeah. So, yeah. Play the video game. Don't take my word for it. The internet has spoken.
Game be good.
Yep.
Game journalists hate it, so it must be good.
Yeah.
Well, that's because they think it doesn't have any music.
Oh man, I love the dynamic music in that game. If you buy the collector's edition or upgrade the digital deluxe edition, you can change the soundtrack of any character to any battle track from any of the previous games.
Cool.
It's so cool. Although I might have set Devil Trigger.
So the time can come.
Yep. And so will you.
Oh dear. Yeah. So, Devil Trigger bang bang bang?
Yep. You got that backwards. Yeah. I guess that's it for that. Do we have any news or emails?
No emails, and unfortunately the news is a bit light on this week as well. But we'll do what we can.
For some reason, everybody's talking about Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, until Friday they were, anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, I can confirm that Disney was straight up buying seats.
Yeah, I've heard that there were a lot of people who reported that they went to like a Monday viewing or something to avoid the weekend, and they only had a few seats to pick from in the cinema when they booked their tickets. When they show up, the cinema's empty.
Yeah, that is the case. From one of my friends who works at the local theater, he's like, "Yeah, we had sold out shows and nobody showed up."
Yeah, that's not suspicious at all.
Yeah, the only people that were there were people that walked in and bought tickets in store. Nobody that pre-ordered showed up or bought online.
And this is all just to confirm their supposed metrics, is it?
Yeah, it's just to inflate their day one box office numbers and inflate their sales.
I've heard that even at where they are, they still don't rank very highly.
Yeah,
amongst the Marvel movies, it's pretty dismal.
Yeah. I've seen some creative word twisting, but yeah, I heard they haven't even made back half their budget yet.
Well, you're not going to do that by buying seats.
And that not making up half their budget, by the way, does not include the cut that the theater takes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty dismal.
Well, maybe Maybe make better movies. Maybe you shouldn't have an actor go off the rails.
In game news, at any rate, people have mainly been talking, from what I've seen, have mainly been talking about the Phoenix Point Epic Store debacle that has been unfolding.
The Epic Store have done it again.
This is basically a very unsurprising, but I don't know. This is what you expect from big companies in some sense.
Mm-hmm.
Complete mercilessness. So the situation here is that, okay, so XCOM, the series, it was originally it was a turn-based, squad-based, very strategic grid arrangement, statistically driven strategy game of sorts.
It took the AAA version 2 tries to actually get that right.
Yeah, the thing is that the AAA version, the new one, is not. It's regarded by fans of the old ones as being impure, too much of a deviation from the classic formula.
Yes.
So the guy that worked on the original ones, who has his own studio, decided that he would crowdfund a spiritual successor called Phoenix Point. And so he did this on Fig, which is the platform Double Fine uses now, I think.
Double Fine or actually started it, I believe.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, in this scenario, you have the option to conventionally crowdfund by, the method where you invest a certain amount of money in it and you get tchotchkes, you get rewards or whatever.
Yeah.
The alternative is that you can, if you invest enough, in their formal investment system, then you get the sort of cut than an investor would. So it's sort of a system which is a little bit been garnished with a little bit more stuff than Kickstarter in that sense. So they managed to fund this because XCOM has a lot of fun. And the game, it sounds like the game is well on its way to completion, which is the first hurdle you've got to get over in crowdfunding is for a game actually to be feasible.
Yes.
But the CEO of the studio recently made a video announcement saying that they had been given a deal. They had signed a deal with Epic to be a 1-year exclusive on the Epic Store, not available anywhere else, and they had accepted it because this is what Epic has been doing lately in order to force grow their platform, is that they've been buying up exclusivity deals as fast as they can with as many up-and-comers as they can get their hands on. So, yeah, they did this, and let's say that the fan reaction was not great. One of the primary rewards for backing the project was to receive, and this is the most common case, in fact, with crowdfunded games typically, is that you would get a key for the game on GOG or Steam or both. I don't even know what the situation was. Now, not so much. They will get their GOG or Steam key, but they will get it a year after the game is released on Epic, because Epic has the exclusivity. So people are understandably annoyed about this and filing for refund. But the thing is, they announced that. Well, I don't know if they announced this. There's something mentioned by one of the people, either on the development or the production team, and they said that, oh well, it doesn't matter if every single person who backed this game was given a refund, we would still be in the black. Which is sort of number one, at least the sheer quantity of money that Epic is throwing around, which is enough to fund the entire production of the game. And number two, it shows that the company making, I can't remember what their name is now, they don't actually care about the fans at all. They've just seen $, because this game would not exist, period, without the financial backing of the fans. However, as soon as Epic showed up, who weren't there for them, who weren't financing the game to be produced, all of a sudden that's more important. You just got to, make as much money as possible. The fans have already turned over their cash. They've gotten their time value of money out of it. And now that they have another source of income, we don't need our fans no more. But and how many situations has this ever worked well for people to completely dismiss the fans as irrelevant? It's what you do when you're trying to destroy a franchise, not support it. But so there is a certain amount of apologetics that you could do for this point of view, and they're essentially a small indie studio, and you've got to pay your employees. There's no getting around that. You have you're going to be tempted if you've got somebody showing up offering you millions and millions of dollars right now to guarantee the employment of your staff, and guarantee your own livelihood, to give you a cushion if things don't go as well as you would like on release day, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely going to be tempting, but if you've made this sort of commitment to the fans and have sold your entire shtick on the basis of being, the game the fans really wanted, made for the fans, then turning around and screwing them is really not in keeping with your supposed philosophy.
It's kind of a dick move, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's financially sound, and in a lot of cases, I'm given to understand that money received as an investment in this fashion is counted as revenue for the purposes of investors. So people who are on the investment tier of backing will do pretty well out of it, because that counts as money in having been made by the product, in a sense. So they will make out like bandits. But all of the people who backed the game like as normal people, I'll put some money into this early in the hopes that it will get produced and I will be guaranteed a key at the end of it. Yeah, they've all been screwed.
Yep.
They're not relevant anymore. Nobody cares about them.
Oh boy.
I think it is quite just for people to be upset about this, and I think that they are probably opening themselves up to a bait and switch lawsuit. I don't know how wide
to see if that gets up. Yeah,
I don't know how wide open that door is, but it sounds like it could be the case, because they made promises early on and have changed the condition of those promises in a manner which would be easy to show in a court of law was very inconsistent with what people were expecting.
It would depend on the lawyer and who you got to run the case.
Oh yeah.
Well, it depends more on the judge. I think that any lawyer could probably show that the assumptions made by the people to whom the product was sold were deliberately skewed in a particular way, and that no longer holds. The problem is whether the judge understands. But yeah, it's a real scumbag move, and it's just more of the sort of the fake competitiveness that we're seeing from Epic. And honestly, the Epic store seems to have a surprising number of shills, and I don't really understand this, because I keep seeing this argument trotted out, but Steam needs competitors and this is good because they're a competitor to Steam. It's like, well, yeah. Have you forgotten that GOG exists and the Discord store exists and Origin exists and all of these other services exist? They already are here and doing these things. They all provide better services than Epic, which doesn't provide any. The Epic store doesn't have a shopping cart.
What?
It's the store with no shopping cart.
Why?
You just buy games. There's no shopping cart system. Yeah. So they have released a staggeringly bare bones system just so that they can leap at the opportunity to spend all of their filthy Fortnite money on carving out market share by force. Yeah. It's true. They're trying to speed grow their market. I understand that. They're trying to force it into place, but this isn't real competition. If what you're doing is basically taking something that people have been anticipating, buying it out, and then forcing people to use your system, then you're not really competing. What you are essentially doing is bringing console war bullcrap into the PC space, which a lot of people came to PC to get away from.
Mm-hmm. We just don't need it here, honestly. Oh, well, time will tell, I suppose, whether the Epic Store will live or die. Hopefully, it'll die.
Yeah, I don't think it will die any more than Origin died.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, who talks about Origin?
You mean without sarcasm and derision?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just this obnoxious little launcher that you need for a handful of games who, for some reason are exclusive, even though it doesn't make any sense from a business perspective. It's just like, well, people really want to play this particular game and they're leveraging it so they can get a bigger cut. Like, I understand that the Epic Store gives a better cut to developers. It allows them to funnel more money into development, but it's not passing any savings on to the consumers to speak of.
No, if it was just the cut, that would be perfectly fine. That would be more than fine, actually.
Like, the thing is that if you want people to think about the cut given to developers as a method of attracting people to your platform by saying, oh, well, you're doing the industry a favor here in the long term. Well, at that point, then the developers might as well just sell it themselves. Just go direct to developer and buy from the developer. You can do that for some games. Why not do that? They're not letting you get it on Steam to keep a unified platform, and they're still taking cut. They're not doing this for free. This isn't a charity.
Mm-hmm.
And realistically, they have to sweeten the pot with that 18% less that they're taking, because what are they actually offering? Oh, well, like I said, the Epic is bringing console game bullcrap to the PC space. What does that mean? Install space is now important. Like, install base is important. You need to have people on board with your platform, and Epic doesn't have people on board with their platform. What they are doing with that 18% is buying a developer's willingness to take risk and release solely on a platform that doesn't have an established user base. That's what they're doing. They're paying money. They aren't doing this out of the kindness of their heart. They aren't saying, oh, well, the cut is overblown because digital risk is lower now, so we've calculated that we should be doing this to give a fair go to developers. That's not the reason. The reason why is because they have no choice. If they want to convert the PC market into the console market, then they need to compete for user base as though it's a zero-sum game. And it never was a zero-sum game before, but they seem to want to make it into one by securing exclusive after exclusive. They aren't developing any of these games. They're buying the rights to this exclusivity. Mm-hmm. It's not designed to do anything but move platform. It's the same. It's serving the same purpose as, your Super Mario and your God of War. It's to move platforms. That's why they're doing this. And they need to spend money to make that happen. And the way they are doing that is through the cut. This is not targeted at making the industry better, and it's not targeted at favouring the consumer. It's targeted at making a big pile of dosh.
Yep. All right. So that was a rant.
Yeah, that's just not. It's not great, and people are taking this really shallow look at it, like, oh well, I mean, this is competition, and competition is good. Yes, competition is good. This is not real competition.
This is not competition, no.
This is you creating a monopoly in a subset of the market type of. Like, you don't automatically have an install base on everybody who's got a PC. Some people are just not willing to indulge in. So, yeah, I don't know if people are going to go for this. I mean, it's true they're going to make a bundle of cash even at that cut. You could argue that the cut taken by Steam and so forth is unnecessarily large. It's not hard to make that argument because it's probably true. Mm-hmm. But it's not the same thing. They are supplying a fully fledged service. Both the best examples, I suppose, are Steam and are Discord. Even though Discord store is pretty paltry and fledgling at the moment, the rest of their services are incredible. Likewise, Steam has a really, really strong store, but they've got a pretty good suite of other features as well. Like Epic has released a roadmap for development of their Epic Store, but it's not going to really reach the level that Steam is at now until 6 or 12 months have passed from now.
Yeah, It's a bit too long.
Yeah, if they had the sort of services and install base that Steam has now, right now, you can guarantee that they'll be taking a bigger cut.
Mm-hmm.
Because the truth is, and everybody who has ever had to buy anything off the WoW auction house knows this, you only need to undercut by 1 copper.
That you do.
Undercutting by 18% is a calculated move to compensate for the risk they're asking developers to take. So, yeah, this is there's no kindness of their heart going on here. There's no pro consumer or pro industry attitude here. There's pro lining my pockets with cash.
Pro money.
Money-os.
It's all about the money-os.
Death Star's made of money.
Man, it's an old one.
That is an old one. Wow. Oh boy. Okay, what else we got? Speaking of Epic, apparently they're adding an undo button to Fortnite.
Can we just undo Fortnite as a whole?
Please? So what is this? The buyer's remorse button.
Well, you tell me. I don't know. I don't know anything about Fortnite. Fortnite is the game that basically gave us the streamer personality Ninja, and it will never be able to compensate for that level of sin.
It has a lot of ground to make up in that regard.
My goodness, I'm so sick of that guy's face. It's so punchable.
It is so punchable.
He's everywhere. But for some reason, people seem to think he's important somehow.
He's not. He's annoying. He's kind of a prat.
He's like an embarrassing gamer version of a Kardashian. It's just a marketing.
That just makes him all arse, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, in the commercials, he's a content in this. Like he's not a person in the strongest sense. He's a form of entertainment. He is a representative of a team. He's the main guy on SNL. But to choose such an absurd face to be the face of your media, this sort of thing would only work on children. It only would work on children. Unfortunately, children have access to their parents' credit card.
So yes, Epic's money engine, Fortnite has now added a undo button to their microtransactions. So if you buy something and you change your mind, provided you haven't started a game with the item bought, you can just get an immediate refund.
Well, I think that this is not because it's not because they are legally required to, and it's not because they want to be nice. It's because they're getting a billion I accidentally bought the wrong thing ticket. That's why. It's the same reason that that people don't develop for Linux, right? It's essentially a tickets problem. Because like Linux, it's true Linux is a bit janky to port to, but you can do it, and it's not nearly as hard as it used to be. The problem is that almost nobody who installs Linux knows really how properly to set up Linux. So they invariably install their video card wrong, and the game doesn't work properly, and then they send a ticket to the game developer or publisher instead of their distro's publisher.
Mm-hmm.
So it ends up becoming a huge overhead in customer services, and so that's fundamentally why people don't develop for Linux, because you have to invest in a whole customer service apparatus just to serve a handful of Linux customers. So, and this is like that. It's just aimed at making sure that they don't have to deal with the PR nightmare.
Yeah.
Of like just giving up. And they don't want to deal with the customer services nightmare of actually coming to the party and answering all of these damn things. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's my speculation on the matter.
Could just be a response to the amount of tickets from parents there saying, I just walked in on my card spending up big on my credit card.
Oh, well, the thing is that the kid will have already rushed into a game by then.
Quite probably, yeah.
I think it's that. Because the only reason that you would, nick your parents' credit card to speed buy something is because you absolutely had to have it right now.
and then you want to go and show it off.
Yeah.
To
That'd
all
be the
your
very
little
first thing you would
friends.
do. So I don't think it's going to be. It doesn't seem like a.
It probably won't
a
change
practical-
anything on that regard, yeah.
No.
Joy. That's it. I don't want to talk about Fortnite anymore. I don't want to talk about it more than we have to.
I'm sure it'll reach the end of its arc before too long. They're on what, season 4 or something?
Uh,
Apex is already in development for season 2, isn't it?
I believe they are, yeah.
Good.
The Apex team seems to have cottoned on that the way to keep one of these games successful is very rapid fire content.
Yeah, well, content in inverted quotes. Well, I
Well-
don't know if I really qualify a lot of the stuff that these games put in themselves as content. Like, it's not what I class as content. Like, I want a decent amount of content. I want, like, when somebody says content, I expect at minimum Final Fantasy 14 patch worth of content.
That is actually quite a lot of content.
That's my minimum threshold. I'm not willing to accept less than that. Which is why I stopped playing Destiny, because the amount of money they want does not give me that quantity of content.
No, it doesn't. Considering Final Fantasy 14 gives you that level of content for free, well, free-ish.
Yeah, it's like since Destiny's doing the seasonal thing as well, they've started their, what do they call it, Season of the Drifter now, and you know that was sort of what was getting me interested in seeing if I felt like for more than 15 seconds playing it again. But ultimately, you know, they've moved on past the end of their initial content release for Forsaken, and they still haven't dropped the price, not one iota.
Nope.
Like, you have to pay, in order to get a small amount of expansion content for that game, you've got to pay the price of a full game. Are you mad?
Just you what, mate?
Yeah, it's just, I don't know what they're thinking. Why does it have to be so expensive? Like, let's say for the sake of supposing, and I've seen people saying things like this come to mind for me. Let's say for the sake of supposing that tomorrow somebody at BioWare snapped their fingers and Anthem was repaired to the point where it is very much like Destiny.
Okay.
Now, when you play, and ideally it was supposed to be, right? That was the plan.
That was
It
the
was
original
supposed
goal,
to be like
yes.
Destiny. Yeah. So it's not an unreasonable thing for a theoretical comparison for a thought experiment. The thing with Anthem is, you pay a hefty price to get the game one time, but everything after that, presumably until their first formal expansion, everything after that is free. Every content pack, every expansion content thing, all of that stuff that Destiny released is free on Anthem. The equivalent is free on Anthem. I'm sort of like offended at Anthem again, because it meant that the competition that was supposed to happen didn't happen, because they screwed up. Because they would have had Bungie on the ropes then at that point, because they would be offering more content without additional pay. Because both of those games are banal and are more about world building than actually telling story or having cool content. They're basically about keeping you occupied in a relatively colourful world. A world that intended to be relatively colourful until, you know, the world of Grey Paste got its hands on it, which it seems to do with every game these days. But yeah, it's just another thing that Anthem failed to do. They failed to normalise the competition in that market, and as a result, Destiny still costs $1 million. So why? They could have had, you know, back when I was playing, if they had asked for $10 an expansion instead of like 30, they could have had me. I would have paid $30 and I would have everything up to date. But no, they want me to pay a massive amount of. Why? Why you got to do this, man? Have people actually done that? Have people actually done the engagement math on this? I know it's sort of standard marketing practice. You've got to calculate how high you can raise the price before your drop off on uptake passes the point where, you know, you're not actually making any more money. And I would think that, oh, well, this is standard practice. This is what a marketing person should do. That's the job. Whole point. But a similar curve called the Laffer curve exists for taxation, but no government in the history of man has ever actually done the math. So nobody follows the Laffer curve. They just raise taxes and assume that they're going to get more money that way. everybody knows what actually happens when you raise taxation is that big companies have to pay lots of tax, move offshore, so you lose tax money instead. So yeah, it's something that is obvious, and anybody with an ounce of common sense can see it. But in practice, the math doesn't get done by the people who should be doing it. And I wonder if that's what's happening with these expansions. I mean, there are certain situations where you can actually make that money, like the famous $93 whatever it is season pass for Dead or Alive.
No,
it's Dead or Alive.
Yes, it's Dead or Alive.
Like, the reason why they do that is that they know that the people who are playing that game, they needs the booty.
They likes the boobs, and they will pay through the nose for the boobs. Yeah,
that's like, allegedly, I don't know anything about porn since I don't consume any of it, but people apparently pay for subscriptions to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I presume that because it's the internet, you can also get it for free. But people still pay money for it because they have discerning tastes or whatever. but yeah, it's like people want the particular booty, and they are willing to pay money for it. So the math has obviously been done. They know how far they can push the envelope. But in a space like Destiny, where everybody is your competitor, I mean, you've got to realize that you need to compete for install base, and that sort of thing is autocatalytic, right? When you want to get people to come back to play your Forsaken expansion, which is, where the game finally reaches the starting blocks. At least that's how I imagine it from the way Ari described it. You need to then con 3 of your friends or whatever to play with you. How?
Yeah,
it's a huge investment. Like, if Ari decided that he really liked Forsaken and he wanted me to play it, and it cost me $20, then I would have played it.
Yeah,
but it doesn't cost $20. No. So they're not just failing to get individuals in; they are failing to get individuals to get groups of people. Like it propagates like that. I thought that when companies went all in on this obnoxious games as a service procedure, that it would mean that upfront prices would start to decline, but somehow that's not happening.
The complete opposite is in fact happening.
Yeah, we still have these heinously expensive starting prices, and it's still followed by season pass DLC expansion.
Yes. Anywho, what's up next? Well, wait, do we actually have anything else?
I don't know. We've been on Epic Games and Destiny, so I haven't really had much to say about either of them. But I've kind of been in another world this week.
Yeah.
I will throw one related comment in Destiny. People have told me that I have recommended Forsaken. I've not recommended Forsaken. I've said it's a step in the right direction that could potentially take them towards a good video game. It is much better than what they've had before, but it is not what I would call a glowing recommendation from me.
Well, like what I said, like Forsaken got Destiny to the starting block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now they are no longer an insult of a game.
Yeah.
They're merely a starting point.
It's just bland. Bland. Meanwhile, Destiny, Anthem has jetpacks, by the way, and Iron Man suits, and is yet still bland. How do you even manage that?
Apparently the jetpacks ruin everything, though.
How? Jetpacks improve everything.
No, they don't. Because level design geometry now means nothing.
Yeah.
Because they put jetpacks in there to be cool, and the actual combat scenarios aren't designed to accommodate them properly.
So lazy design.
Ultimately, everything is solved by moving from point A to point B in a straight line and killing everything in range.
Yay. We're just not
there's
getting good design,
there's no world design if you can hover over top of everything. It basically turns everybody into Superman. There's no challenge. You can't ever be that guy who tries to find the way up the mountain in World of Warcraft. Because, I mean, that was... I don't know if other people had this experience, but anytime I saw a mountain in World of Warcraft, I had to see if there was something on the top.
Oh yeah, the cool thing to do in the day was exploit world geometry and get into unreleased zones.
Yep.
Everybody did it.
How many invisible ledges are on this straight vertical incline?
But yeah, like that doesn't exist in Anthem, and Anthem's supposed to be all about the gorgeous open world. No, you fly until you see the thing you want to do in a straight line, and you do that thing, and then you fly to the next thing. Like, the jetpacks don't do anything good for level design. This is the argument that Blizzard has been making for a long time, that having access to flying mounts too early means that no design takes place, no design actually sticks, because people fly straight up into the air, fly along to the next destination, drop straight down on top of the quest objective, kill that one thing, and then fly straight back up in the air and go back to the quest giver.
Are you actually saying Blizzard was right about something?
Well, it's obvious that Blizzard is right about that in a philosophical sense. Their approach to things, they've admitted that they've made mistakes in the past.
Yes.
And like one of those mistakes, and the one that stuck in my craw for most of the past couple expansions, is the Water Strider, right? Because the Water Strider, Strider, because the Water Strider is something everybody can get, and it is strictly better than literally every other ground mount in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you disable flying, it just means that literally everybody rides the Water Strider, because the Water Strider can ignore water.
Yep.
So they have admitted that Water Striders are a mistake. The problem is that, and this is where it becomes Blizzard, is that they tried to rectify this mistake simply by disabling Water Strider water walking.
Yeah.
And that resulted in a huge amount of player outrage. And I think that Blizzard is right in that the Water Strider distorts their design for the game and, quote, forces, unquote, people to use a particular amount because it's just better. But likewise, players are also right, because they spent ages farming up those freaking fishing quests in order to get the Water Strider.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't then just take it away from them, take that ability away from them. It's going to leave a bad taste in their mouth, no matter how you slice it. And you've already taken away their flying mount. This is what they've got left after the flying amount, the flying amount that you took away. You don't take this away from them as well. It's going to make them unhappy. So I think that they're both right. But it's a situation where, in order for you to design flow in a level, you can't have people able to basically have no clip on the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem with the design in Anthem, is that it's poorly designed to accommodate flight. Like when you design a level to accommodate flight, you get something more like Descent. Is anybody listening old enough to remember Descent?
I remember Descent. I also remember it completely ruining any sense of direction you had while playing it.
Yeah, I was never any good at it because I couldn't work out which way is down, and the reason I couldn't work out which way was down because there wasn't a down.
Yeah, down was completely arbitrary.
Descent was designed for three-dimensional free space movement. It was designed for flight.
Mm-hmm.
So it made sense. In the case of, in games like that are for flying, like Ace Combat, and that, they're also designed for flight. Anthem is designed the way Destiny is designed.
And
so it doesn't
work on top of it.
It doesn't work. You can't, put things on top of a building in the distance, and if people don't have to walk to it and then climb up the building, if they can just move in a straight line from where they are now to where their goal is, that kind of defeats the purpose of having any geometry in between. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, even in its most extreme cases, the most you can do in Destiny is leap tall buildings in a single bound. And yeah. I have gotten myself into strife any number of times by being too aggressive with that. Because what goes up must come down.
Yes, it must, and invariably it gets stuck in the world geometry when you do.
It's really been Destiny, because there are a ton of collectibles all over the place that I decided to go find.
Oh, you
and
masochist.
You can't leave a collectible alone, can you?
No. And it was, they'll show you where it is on the map on the x-axis, not on the y-axis. So you wind up always either going and tunneling your way to the bottom of the map through whatever caverns you can find, or jumping up on top of the highest building and always getting it wrong, whichever one the one you try first is.
Yeah, it's like trying to find your way in a procedurally generated RPG level. Whichever way you picked is not the way you should have gone.
Yeah, you're just wrong. Oh dear. Yeah. Any other bits of news?
I think Ari's been pulling his Devil Trigger all week, so...
Oh my.
Oh, I've been pulling a lot of Devil Triggers.
Have you seen that new Doom movie trailer?
I have not. I tend to cringe away from that sort of thing at the moment.
So I posted it in somewhere. I posted it in the other media channel.
Oh dear.
It's so bad. Oh my goodness. Like, no wonder ID and Bethesda distancing themselves from the project, because there's no world in which this won't bomb in spectacular fashion.
Alright, let me take a look. It's only about 30 seconds. Spaceship. Doomslayers, so, generic-y guys. I'm not watching it with sound, by the way, but...
The sound is the best part, because it lets you hear how wooden the acting is.
Oh, I can even just see how wooden the acting is. Where is Doom Guy? There is no Doom Guy.
There is only a girl who presumes at being Doom Girl. Holding a gun as large as she is.
While I'm not opposed to that in and of itself, it just looks like garbage.
Well, the thing is that you can only hold a gun as big as you are if you can do it with style, like in Terror.
Yes.
If you just look like a person holding a very inexpensive movie prop.
Which is what it looks like here.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure I could make something more convincing than that out of scrap wood. But,
yeah.
Yeah.
At
any rate, I can't imagine a world in which this won't bomb.
Yeah, it looks pretty bad. I love movies and games with people swinging around gigantic, oversized weapons. It's fun and it's dumb. But, yeah, this just looks pretty bad. It looks like it's a bad rip-off of Alien or something.
It's a bad rip-off of a bad rip-off of...
Yes.
It's a bad rip-off of a porn parody of Alien.
It reminds me of those...
That's bad.
Those Resident Evil movies.
The U-Ball ones.
Yeah, it gives me the same kind of vibe. My hiccups came back.
Those, I have to kind of admit, are a little bit of a guilty pleasure. Because they are that bad.
Well, Mila Jovovich can actually act a little bit.
She can.
She's not a great actor.
She's
okay.
Can
act a little.
She's okay. Yeah, those movies, they skim straight through B grade and onto D grade. And they're kind of enjoyable because of that. You know, in a so bad it's good kind of way.
They just hit bad for me. They don't go to so bad it's good.
Yeah. Well, saying so bad it's good is probably overstretching it a bit. They're so bad, but they're bad. And they're enjoyable. I don't know. But, yeah. This new Doom movie... why? I mean, we
live in a world where somebody thought it's a good idea to make a live-action Sonic the Hedgehog.
Ugh. Yeah. That's a thing, isn't it?
And Detective Pikachu.
Actually, I'm kind of looking forward to that one. Like Uncanny Valley
I'm
Pikachu.
Sure, I'm like 95% sure it will have some unbelievable cringe in it.
Oh, I'm completely depending on that. But
might check it out after it's out of theaters. So.
At least Ryan Reynolds can be rather self-aware about this sort of thing. I mean, he's the kind of guy who spearheaded Deadpool, so yeah. We'll see.
He might save Detective Pikachu, but he will probably destroy every person's childhood idea of Pikachu.
Well, yeah. If you look at some of those movie trailers, some of the Pokemon look nightmarish. Like, what the hell? Is that what it would look like in real life? Like, Mr. Mime looks goofy, but then you got Charizard, who is all scales and claws and drool and teeth. Like, what the hell?
But he probably would be.
He probably would be instead of the kind of slightly goofy fat dragon thing.
Some things aren't meant to not be cartoon.
do not convert them to real life.
Like, I mean, we've seen this writ large, right? Because Jump Force is a thing.
Yeah. I want to kind of play that game. I know that game didn't turn out to be particularly good, but I still want to play it.
No, it turned out to be actively bad.
It turned out to be extremely bad.
But it will eventually be on deep discount, and I will probably purchase it.
Yep.
because reasons.
Partly because I like the characters, partly because I want to play card games in a battlefield.
I heard that Kaiba's going to be DLC.
Yeah, they've found
announced.
files. Oh, he's been properly announced now?
Yeah, saw it on Each Gamer.
Nice. So all the rules screwing you could possibly want.
Ugh. Oh no.
Oh no.
I have just found out that V's pants do not translate when you mod him into another model to do a model swap in the game.
What? Why are you experimenting with V's pants?
No, like, I had the DMC read it up, and I had it minimized and opened it up and clicked the next page and opened up the compilation of the Michael Jackson dances.
Oh, no.
And when V came up, he's just completely naked. For some reason.
Okay.
I'll help y'all out. Here's some happy. And by happy, I mean horrifying.
I'm expecting full-on eyeball rebellion here. Alright, what are we doing? Let's see. Michael Jackson Dance for Everyone.
I'm already upset.
What the?
Spoilers.
It's the butt.
This is horrifying.
Why? Who would do this?
I like the part where the hat flips halfway through his head.
Just
that expression looks so alien on his face.
It does, doesn't it?
They do it for every model in the game. I skipped the spoilers when I linked that timestamp, but they do it for every single bad guy in the game.
Just, why is V naked? Why?
He's the only model that doesn't have his clothes come with him when they model swapped him.
That's very, very strange.
Does he, take off his clothes during the game or something?
Does he have a naked scene?
He has a very dynamic model. Throughout the game, it changes a lot because of spoilers.
Okay.
But V and his clothes ain't doing so hot at some points in the game, so I guess they're meant to be kind of deteriorating. And so they might be treated as a separate object from him when you model swap it.
So they just put together a naked rig and just put his clothes onto that model.
I guess. The best part is the happy face spinning where his dongus is.
Yeah. Really makes me worry about, Capcom in general, honestly.
I'm sure that was edited in by the guy that made the video. But
yeah.
This is hypnotic in all the wrong ways.
It's just wrong. It's wrong. Right.
Anyway.
With that level of wrong going on, let's just turn it off, shall we?
I figured we needed to laugh since I've been due to hiccups mostly for the last half of the show.
I think my eyes are screaming.
So there's your laugh for the day. Email topic of the week. What's your favorite Michael Jackson dance of the models I posted in the live show chat?
Spoilers!
Time.
All of the spoilers.
Yeah, don't watch the first half of that video or you will get spoiled. I started it at the timestamp where there should be no spoilers. I don't know. I haven't watched the whole video, so watch your own risk.
Right. You got those hiccups back
Why
again.
does everything have a humanoid skeleton rig?
Who knows?
Just to make them able to dance. It's all for the dance.
Horrifying.
Yes, it is.
Some things aren't meant to dance.
No, they are not.
So yeah, there's your email topic of the week. Closing comments go.
I can't unsee that now.
Yeah, I think I'm damaged for life.
Yeah. Why? Just why?
That's what I'm here for.
Uh,
Hiccups go away. Please go away next week. This has been the worst of all time with hiccups.
I need a new tablet.
Oh, all right. I
Take us
think
out.
we're done, folks. We'll see you next week. Sayonara. Bye-bye.